Hi and welcome to episode 8 of Underrated Songs. In this episode, we're going to take a look at the song Tu Jahaan Main Wahaan from the 2005 film Salaam Namaste. This song has been sung by Sonu Nigam and Mahalaxmi Iyer. The composers of the song are Vishal and Shekhar. Lyrics have been done by acclaimed lyric writer and screenplay writer Jaideep Sahni. Let's get right into it. Let me just tell you why I picked this song for this particular episode. It's because that this song, if I have to summarize it in one word or give a central theme for the song, it would be minimalism. There's minimalism in everything, right from the lyrics, the way it has been composed, and most definitely the production of the song. So generally, these kind of songs, even though they're really good, you can take time to listen to them again and again, and they kind of get into your psyche and slowly become a part of you. They don't make that sort of a blast or an impact, so people don't really pay a lot of attention towards these songs, although once you pay a lot of attention and listen to it with an open mind, it'll become a part of your playlist forever. Let's start with the lyrics here, but for that you need some context about the story. So this story is about a couple who lives in Australia, and they are in a live-in relationship. They decide never to become a family or to get married, but something happens and the girl gets pregnant. So now the guy is still non-committal and he doesn't want to commit to the relationship, but the girl wants him to. So this entire song is from the girl's perspective, where she's imagining that he'll say these nice and comforting things to me, which he actually isn't. So if you take a look at the antara, the guy is saying, if you have any problem, anything, any distress, I'll take it all. You can see it in lines like, जो भी बेचैनी है मुझ पे आने दे, गम के बादल है मुझ पे आने दे, and he's trying to take everything in. But then the girl comes on and says, maybe ये शायद सपना हो, because it is, because she's imagining all of this. So all this is very cliche and very simple and lucid, but that's the trick here. So you have to keep it really simple, really conversational. For me, the best line though is the mukhda, is the start of the song itself, where he says, "Tu jahaan main wahaan, sang sang यूं चलूं, जैसे तेरा आसमां." Because we have had a lot of these metaphors in the past in Hindi film music, where they compare them mostly, more often than not, to a shadow, right? So तू जहाँ जहाँ चलेगा मेरा साया साथ होगा, right, and all these things. So even that is dependent on light, because if there's no light, there's no shadow. But here it's like saying, संग संग यूं चलूं जैसे तेरा आसमां. You can't avoid the sky. Even if you are indoors, you know there's a sky above you. And so this is probably one of the best metaphors I ever heard for companionship, period. So all in all, even though the lyrics are not some amazing piece of poetry, they are direct, they deliver the message, they drive the point home, and they adhere to that minimalistic theme of the entire song. Let's talk about singing now. Let's talk about Mahalaxmi Iyer first. Her casting to do this song itself was great, because she usually shines in these low range kind of songs where she has to sing kind of in a husky, whispery kind of a voice, and a lot of sorrow is conveyed, anxiety, and a lot of these things are easily conveyed in her voice. And she is, according to me, one of the most underrated singers we have. Even in this song, she doesn't get to shine a lot, but she is the emotional core or emotional anchor of this song, and she puts that all those doubts, fear, anxiety, everything in her vocal performance. So all in all, a great job. Let's get to Sonu Nigam right now. Again, this is casting against the grain for him, right? Because he's known for his vocal athletics, his vocal gymnastics, doing different haircuts and different flourishes and slides and runs. So here he doesn't have to do any of that. He just has to emote, which he also does, and he does it effortlessly. So there's no points for guessing that he's a great singer. But it's very nice to see that he understands the vision of the composers, and he just delivers what is asked of him. So he doesn't do any vocal gymnastics or some harkat or some flourish. It's simply submitting to the words and submitting to the tune and delivering a very melancholic performance. Now let's talk about the composition itself. So if you see here, it's in a typical Bollywood antara mukhra kind of a format. So that is great, but what is amazing here is that there is a lot of space in the song. If you listen to it, there are periods where there's just music and nothing is being said or played. That is very important to show this loneliness in the song. Also, if you take a careful listen to all the background vocals, more than the lead vocals, if you look at the background vocals, they add a lot to the ambience of this song, because you have this gibberish kind of a riff going on, which puts you instantly in that melancholic mood, and then you have this alap kind of thing that again keeps coming back and forth. If I'm not wrong, I think that gibberish kind of vocal has been done by Vishal and the alap has been done by Shekhar. I may be wrong. If you guys know, let me know in the comments down below. So those things add a lot to the song. Otherwise, the composition is pretty straightforward. The selection of tempo and the chords are also very apt and befitting the song. So the pacing is pretty accurate. It's not very slow. You have these rhythmic elements coming up in the antara, but overall the composition is very thought out and it's very specific to that mood, and that's why it brings that mood alive. Let's talk about the production of the song. Like I already mentioned, the elements in the production are minimal, but the interplay between them is really beautiful. So you already have these background vocals, and the instruments are also minimal, but they keep on rising throughout the song. So if you take careful note, you'll understand that the first antara, you introduce certain Indian elements like a slight duff kind of a sound, but the groove is not complete. You don't hear a lot of instruments. But in the second antara, you definitely hear an Indian sort of a take up, with those instruments being even more explored slightly. Another interesting thing is that there is this duff kind of a fill every time the song goes from one section to the other, but before the last section, the last mukda, it's not even there. So it's in contrast to the rest of the arrangement, which keeps on intensifying through the sections, and the energy slightly keeps on building, but this fill keeps on getting lesser and lesser and lesser, and in the end it's not even there. So these kind of things are called ear candy, and they keep you interested, and these are the things that keep you listening throughout. And there are certain subtle changes which you notice but you don't know that you notice. So that's why these kind of songs become an earworm, and you want to keep hearing them again and again and again.